Formula One fishing and the international hunt for the elusive Pacific black marlin, the world's largest and toughest game fish. From the Caribbean through Hawaii to the deep sea canyons off Cairns on Australia's Great Barrier Reef, the world's top anglers come to match wits with these magnificent giants. Each game boat can cost more than $500,000, with tackle alone running at about $100,000. While some anglers have their own boats and rigs, many choose to pay up to $4,000 per day to charter a fully crewed outfit. For luxury car manufacturer Lexus, sponsorship of the $100,000 Lexus Marlin Classic is a logical step into the high-powered market of high achievers. Now in its second year, the Lexus tournament will become a world classic, destined to stand beside the Hawaiian Invitational Billfish Tournament as one of the sport's classic events. Catching fish such as the marlin in a competitive arena now requires major technological innovations such as satellite weather maps and water temperature data. This information tells the skippers and crews where their quarry is most likely to be. Navigation aids such as the GPS or Global Positioning System units now fitted to many of the boats enables the accurate plotting of fishing hotspots.
I'm going to punch a different button here right now because there's one particular spot that I want to get my position relative to. As you see, it's 243 degrees and 11/10 of a nautical mile from one bit of bottom that's been particularly productive for me over the years. So
information that also helps in the formulation of fish management strategies for the future.
So by getting the readouts from the satellites that your computers are going to give us, we'll have much better ideas of where we should be looking for the marlin.
Apart from environmental information, marlin fishing also requires the latest in fishing gear.
Oh, now some of this stuff is the most sophisticated in the world, and the great thing about it, a lot of this was been developed here in Cairns with the help of the Cairns fleet, because this is definitely the best big marlin fishery in the world. And a lot of the development has come from this country, and we lead the world in development, where you've got things like new two-speed reels, super synthetic drags with graphite material like used on supersonic aircraft, a great improvement in fishing line technology like new high-quality fibre for better dacrons and better monofilaments. Hooks are probably better, and really there's been a dramatic change in the whole tackle concept since the 20 years I've been here.
Many of these innovations have been developed in Australia, with isolation being the mother of invention. Cinematographer Mark Luay came up with the idea for FishCam, so he could provide better coverage of the 1991 Lexus tournament.
A very small colour camera, chip camera, powered internally with one video lead going out the front, which is constantly recording. You can obviously see the baits on the water. You can you have a fairly good idea how they're swimming, with the deckies looking, tuning the fish, coming in, checking the monitor. They move the weights or move the hook. It's a whole new thing. It's almost like the start of marlin fishing all again. The excitement is there right from the very start.
His invention proved so successful, it is already being acclaimed as the way of the future in game fishing.
Hey, there's a marlin out there! He's going to go for it, going to go for the pipe bait!
Many anglers fishing the competition claimed they would be happy to take home a videotape of the fish they were chasing rather than a trophy. Traditionally, anglers have sought to prove their fishing skill with a trophy of the billfish they caught. But those days are changing, and a new concept pioneered in Australia is rapidly gaining acceptance. It's the tag and release method of fishing, in which the fish is first caught, then tagged for scientific research purposes before being released unharmed.
Our tagging program involves injecting the fish with a dye that can be recognised when the fish is later recaptured, and all the growth that has occurred since that time can be assigned to this period that's passed since tagging and recapture. And this is extremely vital information in trying to establish the age of these fish.
The Australian Lexus Classic runs late in the year as the giant black marlin congregate in the rich tropical North Queensland fishing grounds to gorge themselves on large schools of bait fish and sport in the warm Barrier Reef waters. With 160 anglers from 5 countries competing in this year's event, the pressure was on to stake a claim on part of the big prize purse. Although overall figures were down on last year's inaugural Lexus Classic, there were more than 75 strikes, 30 hookups and 13 tag and releases this year. The tournament record for heaviest marlin caught was also smashed when Alabama attorney Vincent Kilbourne boated a 932-pound monster.
It's a hell of a big fish.
A long day.
My next thought was my back's killing me. And you know, we tagged it 15 minutes. Yeah.
Kilbourne's elation was short-lived when he learned a crew member had inadvertently tossed the wire trace overboard in the struggle to subdue the fish, an action that automatically disqualified his catch. However, things went smoothly for Sydney angler David Lander, who walked away from the tournament with $40,000 after successfully catching a marlin that tipped the scales at 795 pounds.
I think it's unbelievable. I think the organisation and the parade this morning and the feeling we had when we went out there was fantastic. But we're out there for, 8 hours or 6 hours, and yeah, I'll be back for sure if Lexus will have me, for sure.
Welcome back to Cairns, the big game fishing capital of the world, and the second Lexus Classic. Over the next 4 days, we're in for some of the hottest big game fishing action in the world. Planning has already begun for the 1992 Lexus Game Fishing Classic. At a gala presentation dinner at the Radisson Plaza Hotel in Cairns, the hot topic of conversation was extending the tournament to a 5-day event. This year's Lexus Classic attracted 160 competitors from 5 countries for the $100,000 event. It's the richest game fishing contest in Australia. The Lexus Classic record for marlin was smashed on the second day when American attorney Vincent Kilbourne aboard Balloch 3 boated a 932.8-pound fish. However, the marlin was withdrawn from the competition by Mr. Kilbourne when the judges were told that the line trace had been inadvertently thrown overboard during the return to port. Addressing the sellout crowd, the Executive Vice President of Toyota Australia, Mr. John Conomos, paid tribute to the spirit of sportsmanship exhibited by the participants.
And I think it would be remiss of us as the sponsors to let this moment pass without at least acknowledging the situation that occurred with Vincent Kilbourne III, who came all the way out here from the United States and fished off Ballock, one of the best boats in the area, only to be asked at the last moment to undertake a very difficult decision. We wouldn't like to let that opportunity pass without saying to you from the organisers that we think that's great sportsmanship, and what we'd like to do is to, as a gesture of appreciation, hand back the entry fee of $1,200 and ask that perhaps it be used as a mark of encouragement to ask that Mr. Kilbourne might visit us again next year.
The major award on the night went to Sydney angler David Landers on board Kanahoe for the heaviest marlin caught. David's fish, boated on day one, weighed in at 795.3 pounds. The prize for the first tag and release on day one went to Bob Hill on board Absolute. Day two was taken out by Gary Gale on True Blue. And the final day's tag and release was won by John Phillips on Chamois Free. The overall tag and release prize purse for the tournament also went to Gary Gale, taking his total prize money for the Classic to $40,000. Over the 3 days of competition, there were 76 strikes reported, 30 hookups and 13 tag and releases. Both the captured marlin were presented to the Australian Institute of Marine Science in Townsville for their marlin research program.
It finally came to the Institute that we do suffer from the economic climate as well. And at the same time as Lexus has increased their contribution to our research, so that the funds that they've made available for the type of work that we do has represented 200% of our operating budget at the Institute.
Now the emphasis on the tournament is tag and release. When you tag the fish, have you ever caught any of the previously tagged fish?
Yes, tag and release has worked very well over the years. We ourselves have initiated another tagging program that's not a simple tagging program. The whole emphasis is on getting good information on the growth of these fish. Our tagging program involves injecting the fish with a dye that can be recognised when the fish is later recaptured, and all the growth that has occurred since that time can be assigned to this period that's passed since tagging and recapture. And this is extremely vital information in trying to establish the age of these fish. And one of those fish has provided really good information on growth, so that I could almost tell you to the day how old that fish is.
The Lexus Classic this year has some pretty high-tech innovations. From the amazing fish cam, satellite cloud pictures, sea surface temperatures, real-time weather data from the reef itself, and global positioning systems. Skipper Peter Wright explains.
This is the first year that we've had this device available to us. This is a global positioning system. This particular model here is portable. It can work on batteries. I've got it plugged into an external power source, but as you can see, it's giving me a constant update of my position in latitude and longitude, which is extremely valuable because one of the things that Lexus is doing for us is providing satellite maps that show sea surface temperatures. I'm going to punch a different button here right now because there's one particular spot that I want to get my position relative to. As you see, it's 243 degrees and 11/10 of a nautical mile from one bit of bottom that's been particularly productive for me over the years. So I can just turn and keep going in this direction. It's only 9/10 of a mile away now. And when I see it on the machine, I'll make 3 or 4 turns in order to see if there is a marlin hanging around. They're generally schools of bait. But this is an example of some of the high-tech stuff that is coming in, and I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on these sea temperature charts.
Those sea temperature charts were downlinked from a Japanese weather satellite and the data converted to a computer-enhanced display. As well, the satellite provided accurate cloud pictures. At sea level, the Australian Institute of Marine Science supplied real-time weather data from environment measuring stations scattered along the reef. There was also marlin television, the Lexus Classic's very own TV station, supplying twice daily tournament reports. But the big innovation was Fish Cam.
It's a very small colour camera, chip camera, powered internally with one video lead going out the front, which is constantly recording. Out for 8 hours, we record for 8 hours. We didn't have a great deal of time. We put it together in a couple of weeks, but we're able to do a small amount of testing on some other vessels out of town, so to get it to swim straight. Last couple of days up here, we've been able to perfect it, and of course, fortunate enough, we've been able to actually, at this stage, sight a Marlin.
Hey, Norm! Wind the right bait out the way, Norm! Wind the right bait up! Get it out the way, that's it, bring it into the boat. Yeah, there's a fish about 700 or 800. He came up and looked at the camera. He's 700 or 800 if he's an ounce. Look pretty good from up here.
I think one of the great things it'll be if the anglers can sit there all day and observe exactly what's going on down there, they'll be much more proficient in being able to catch the fish. You have the ability to be able to see fish coming down deep on baits that they wouldn't normally see until the fish had struck the bait. They'd be more prepared. The captain will be able to see a bait swimming, where they can improve their techniques, how the fish bite. Maybe there's some ways of making adjustments for better hook-up ratios. I think the thing's going to be really something terrific. I think there's probably see a time when every boat would have one.
Hey, there's a Marlin out there! He's gonna go for it, gonna go for the post bait! Going off to the right!
Well, you're only the second person ever in the world to see a Marlin come up. We're just about to change tapes, so we actually missed a few seconds of it.
It's unreal though, I actually seen a Marlin looking for a lure, you know, like a space-age technology.
This is the most exciting thing that happens on board the boat. The people on the boat get to experience this. The public in general don't get to see too much of it all, except a fish jumping behind the boat occasionally.
Fish, fish, fish. He's following the big bait. He's still following the big bait. I got something. Wind the right bait out the way, Norm! Wind the right bait up! Get it out the way, that's it, bring it into the boat. Yeah, there's a fish about 700 or 800. He came up and looked at the camera.
With the deckies looking, tuning the fish, coming in, checking the monitor, they'd move the weights or move the hook. It's a whole new thing. It's almost like the start of marlin fishing all again. The excitement is there right from the very start.
It couldn't have been a more perfect day. As the sun rose across Trinity Inlet, Australia's finest game fishing fleet was wrapping up last-minute preparations. Nothing could be left to chance, because this was day one of the richest game fishing tournament in Australia, the Lexus Marlin Fishing Classic. It was an awesome sight. 44 of the Top Gun game boats in a record-breaking sail past. The second Lexus Classic was underway. Ahead, 3 days of fierce competition, the full-on fury of the toughest fighting fish in the world, and to cap it off, a chance to get amongst $100,000. On this first day, the action kicked in early. 20 minutes into the competition, a strike. Pat Sighty on board Outrageous had hooked up. He battled on for more than 3/4 of an hour before he lost the 600-pounder. Later in the morning, Odyssey hooked 2 and lost 2, while Graham Turnbull, fishing from the edge, worked a double play by hooking the same fish twice before losing it. Phil Whistler pulled out the stops for just under an hour as he bent his back to a fish that his crew estimated to be over 500 pounds. As the day wore on, Richard Wilson tagged and released a 200-pounder. Paul Pakula on Reef Hunter tagged and released a 400-pounder. But it was Richard Wilson's fish that took home the $10,000 first day tag and release purse.
Back a bit, Chloe. As close as we can get.
At the 11th hour, Kanahoe set the hook into an 800-pounder, and Sydney Toyota dealer David Lander went through the longest 24 minutes of his life.
Oh, yes! Fantastic! Yes, yes!
It's quite a thrill to just have a strike, let alone get one of this size.
What do you think about the tournament?
I think it's unbelievable. I think the organisation and the parade this morning and the feeling we had when we went out there was fantastic. But we're out there for, 8 hours or 6 hours, and we didn't have a strike until 8 minutes past 4.
What about when you come back now? How does it feel with all these people here?
A little embarrassing, but it's all right. My arms are sore, basically.
Back on the Cairns Marlin wharf, David's fish weighed in at 795.3 pounds. All that was left was to sweat it out for the next 48 hours, hoping that his day one catch would stand. Day 2 got off to another blinding start with Tracy Melton aboard Viking doing battle with a 700-pounder after only 8 minutes of fishing. But it wasn't to be her day, and the fish was lost. Things were pretty quiet until late in the afternoon when the action exploded aboard Prime Mover, quickly followed by True Blue, Silvery Moon, Sea Venture and Ballock 3. Greg Hines on Silvery Moon tagged and released, as did Danny Burns on True Blue, while John Corliss on Sea Venture lost it. Jeff Lyons on Prime Mover had a grueling 3-hour workout before his fish got the upper hand and skipped. On Ballock 3, Alabama attorney Vince Kilbourne had no idea that his near 2-hour battle against a 900-plus pounder was to turn into the hard luck story of the tournament.
All right, well, we didn't get a bite all day until about 3:53, and the bite went on. You know, we got a hook up. We lucked out and hooked this fish. There was another smaller fish that was right next to her, but he got away. And we got it up to the boat pretty quick in about 15 minutes, put a tag in it because we wanted to make sure we got the tag in. And then we got to thinking, you know, this fish looks like a really good fish. So we then decided we'd go ahead and gaff the fish because it could possibly be at that time 900 pounds. And we knew that the biggest fish so far was about 800. So another hour and a half worth of fighting. I mean, we could have gaffed her early, but we just didn't. And she fought real deep and did a lot of pinwheeling. We must have the double up 25 times at least. And of course the mate would lean out and try to get the double, and it was always 6 inches out of reach. And finally she just wore out.
As the big crowd on the Marlin Wharf congratulated Ballock 3's crew, the judges' committee was meeting in emergency session. In the excitement on board after the catch, the leader was apparently thrown overboard. No one was doubting that the catch was legal, but Rule 5 required line samples to be brought back to port for testing on all fish weighed. The rule had been broken, and that was that. This morning, it was a philosophical but determined Vince Kilbourne who once again set out for another try. The one thing that made everyone a winner this year, the perfect conditions at sea. The best performance of the final day captured on tape had to go to Capricorn and angler Kevin Laprini. It was a long battle, but it was certainly pretty, a 250-pound tag. Day 3 introduced a variation to the strike pattern, with hookups distributed evenly throughout the day. There were 7 tag and releases, the best day result of the Classic. The first tag of the day went to Chamois Free and Bob Gibbons with a 200-pounder that also handed him $10,000. Others were scored by Ian McCord on Orca, a 300-pounder, Warren Dean on Jan Lee, and last year, you'll remember, Warren took out the top money of the tournament on the same boat. Graham Holstein on Yanu 3 tagged a 200-pounder, and George Mitras on Seducer tagged a 400-pounder. But the highlight of the day went to local angler Gary Gale when he tagged a 200-pounder off True Blue, giving the boat 2 tags, the best for the competition. This category earned them $30,000 to put in the bank with another $10,000 his partner Danny Burns grabbed on day 2.
No other big game tournament in the history of Australian sport has received, I don't think, such as enthusiastic support or endorsement. Once again, Lexus has proved, I think, that it has the potential that exists to be truly an overseas, or in fact, Grand Prix, as we like to call it, of fishing. Of course, is that if you can put the right ingredients together, as I think we've done, you can achieve the result that has established a new standard that we believe the classic car of Lexus has done, and for that we thank you. We hope to see you next year.